Chag Sameach, everyone. Just a thought going into Shvii Shel Pesach that I want to share with you. Um, Really, what makes Shvii Shel Pesach different? Why is it special? Why is it different than the other Eser Makot? And why do we end Pesach this way? It's like almost ends with a whimper. We have another Chag, but we're still doing everything we're doing in Chol Hamoed, saying the same Hallel, the same Tefillot. There isn't a special Korban on this day in the Beis HaMikdash. It's not like Shmini Atzeres, which is an entirely different Chag. What's going on Shvii Shel Pesach? What's unique about it, and why do we celebrate it? And also, what we do celebrate, which is Kriyat Yam Suf, which according to tradition happened on the 7th of Pesach. Why is that different than the other Eser Makot? Why is that, the other Eser Makot are also these great supernatural events. You have, Barad, you have Choshech, you have Makat Bechorot, these incredible supernatural events. Why Kriyat Yam Suf gets a special Chag? Why does it get a Chag, why is it an event that merits Az Yashir or Shirat Hayam as opposed to the other Makot? What's going on here? I just want to focus on one pasuk that I think is crucial in understanding it. It's something that I heard from Rabbi Targin, my Rabbi Mari Moshe Targin, which is the idea of Hashem Yimloch Li'olam Va'ed. The pasuk that concludes Shirat Hayam is a pasuk which really has deep resonance. Up until that point, gods were really something where nations manipulated them for their own exploitation, for their own needs, for their own wants. But here we have something very new, which is God as an authority. It's the first time in history that a human community accepts Malchut Shamayim, accepts the sovereignty of God. And it's why on Rosh Hashanah we begin Malchut, the Malchiyot section, with this pasuk. It begins when the humans accept sovereignty. And from the Jewish perspective, it's one of those key moments. It's one of those three moments of Jewish history, the three parts of our onion, that on Tetvav Nisan we become a nation as we leave Egypt. On Chaf Aleph Nisan, Shvii Shel Pesach, we accept the sovereignty of God, Malchut Shamayim, without translating it yet to mitzvot and Kabbalat Torah and learning Torah. And then, of course, on Vav Sivan, when we are standing at the foot of Har Sinai, we translate this to Kabbalat Mitzvot and Torah. All three are key, but Judaism isn't an all or nothing proposition. All three are crucial. But there are many Jews that we know who have one or two of these without the third. And I think that's an important aspect, that this is the moment that we're celebrating. We celebrate that we accept the kingship of God during this time. We accept that he is sovereign over us, that he is an authority over us, that we don't just have a God that's subject to our wants and whims, but we have to follow him and we're subject to him. And our goal is to become an Eved Hashem. And at the same time, because we declare this, the Midrash and the Gemara speak about that this is a moment that God celebrates as well, that he commits to care for us, even as we wander off from him. He commits to care for us because of this covenant of kingship. And I think this is something that's particularly resonant now, as we are in a time of the time of a world crisis. And this idea of V'haya Hashem, L'melech al kol haaretz, this idea that Hashem's presence is palpable universally in a way that people can't understand and can't solve. Right now, when with this invisible plague that people can't really solve, and we're covering our identity with our mouths and noses covering, the entire world is experiencing this, not just the Jewish people, and the entire world. Some of them don't realize it yet, but they're understanding there's something out there that they can't control, that there's something out there that's greater than they are. And perhaps we're not so far from a world which will realize that Vaya Hashem L'melech al kol haaretz, that Hashem's sovereignty will rule all the world, and that there's something beyond our control. And I think that's something that's very resonant this year, and it's something to leave you as we go into Shvii Shel Pesach, that this is a great moment in history, the moment where we, with simcha and shira, we accepted God's malchut over us, And that's the moment that we celebrate in Shvii Shel Pesach, this exclamation of Shira. And I encourage you to find those times today, that you find those times and experience the Shira, experience the miracles, and try as much as you can to find that time where God expresses his sovereignty over you, and find ways in which you can submit to that sovereignty of God over this Chag. Chag Sameach.